I have a way to do it, which I try to tell my son, which is ask yourself how you'd feel if you made the other decision. Just imagine it comes out the other way. How are you feeling right now?
What is this for, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
It's like a YouTube channel I have. It's called Ordinary People. I go around, I just try to capture people's stories.
There's so many stories we'll never know. And a lot of times it's because we don't ask. But if you do, you just might be surprised of the things you'll hear. Regardless of background or age, there's something we can learn from everyone. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ordinary People.
The day before my 25th birthday, my grandmother passed away.
Okay.
And I was actually in the room when she passed.
Yeah.
I was there. She was surrounded by a lot of people. She wasn't conscious, but her eyes were looking around. Part of me likes to think that she was there, that she was around. And it was a very somber day, despite being, you know, my 25th, the day that one might assume would be a happy day of celebration. But even on one of the most somber days of my life, just being there made it very sad, being in the room with her. But I still got to be surrounded by loved ones and family.
Yeah.
Even on a terrible day.
Yeah.
And without her life, without her having given birth to my mother and then later me, I would not have been able to celebrate my 25th birthday. So really, the long life she lived and being as generous as she was to all of us was what allowed me to be there in the first place and to be here. So, can't have life without death. And it changed me. It changed me to be there in the room. And it's kind of special that it was my 25th. So she gave me the gift of life. And yeah, I think about it all the time. Even though it just happened, but I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I hope that was decent.
Are you kidding me? That was amazing. Good luck on you guys to top that.
So I'd say the biggest thing that changed my life was just me not becoming a doctor. I was pre-med in school. I was going to be a doctor, and then I made the mistake of praying about it. But I just lost the drive to go to med school. And as a result, I'm not rich right now. I don't have 2.7 cars and 3.2 children and a $1.5 million house in the suburbs, but I'm a whole lot happier. And with me not being a surgeon, there are a lot fewer dead people walking around.
It's actually on the same track as you.
Oh.
I actually interviewed and I was waitlisted, but I decided not to go back to the application.
You need to get this on camera.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you're having more fun this way, right?
I am, absolutely. And I have my own small business that's completely not related to this at all. So, yeah. It's funny how life
and
works
there
out.
are fewer dead people walking around.
Yeah.
You don't want your surgeon to be ADD. You don't want your surgeon to be creative.
Right.
Like, you know, the bad news is we didn't save your liver. The good news is those knots I made inside of you are just, they're so symmetrical. You'd love it.
What do you do now? Can I ask?
Art teacher. So, a little bit different.
Just a little.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
I'm a biology professor at the University of Minnesota, and as I am nearing retirement, I'm teaching a class mainly for freshmen, and it's about exploring careers in biology. And there are many, many options. Of course, many of the students are pre-med when they first come into the university. For many of them, that changes. And I like to think it's because they learn about other options that might be better suited for them. But what I tell them is that they should do what they are passionate about and not worry so much about how much money they'll make, and really focus on what they'll be excited about. So that's it.
That is solid advice. Thank you so much for sharing. How do you convince an 18-year-old to follow what they love and not money and surgery and things like that?
You know, that's really difficult because many times they're getting pressure not only from themselves but from their family.
Of course. It's self-imposed for sure, and
Yes.
externally imposed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, many times they just aren't aware of what the options are.
I grew up in a small town in Virginia, Charlottesville, and never left until I was 22 and came to graduate school in New York City and went to Rockefeller University. And that was a completely life-changing experience. I got to taste new foods, hear new things, have adventures on the streets, just walking around and just enjoying the Big Apple, which in itself is a real life-changing experience. And so I still love to come back, not just to relive those days, but to see the changes, which are amazing. And but it's been for the better. When I first moved here, you could see the air; it was kind of green, it smelled bad. We'd have to have some kind of security if we were sitting in this park. It was not very safe in 1972. There's dog poop on the streets, and just in general, New York is a much nicer place than it was, and it was good then. So that's changed everything about my perspective. I've always wanted to live in a city since then.
And if you don't mind me asking, something to students or just the younger generation?
Oh yeah, same deal for me. Well, in fact, I transferred out after 3 years because even though I loved the city, I couldn't find a professor that I wanted to work with. I wasn't curious about what they were doing. So I transferred to Yale, and I spent 5 more years in graduate school, but I was doing the work that I've done ever since. And it's always been exciting and interesting. I could have forced myself to stay with a project I wasn't interested in, but because I found a project that I was passionate about, I was able to do it for 35 years. I have a way to do it, which I try to tell my son, which is ask yourself how you'd feel if you made the other decision. Just imagine it comes out the other way. How are you feeling right now? And then pretty soon you can find out how you actually viscerally feel. Not so much reason your way through it, but feel your way through it. Especially in science, that may not be true in everything. I'm not sure insurance agents feel that much different than real estate agents, but if you're talking about a scientific research, you need to really be excited about that question. So, yeah.